So Marks and Spencer has apologised after a transgender employee approached a 14-year-old girl in the bra section and offered to help. So the child's furious mother complained and said it was completely inappropriate. I hate the term inappropriate or appropriate, I'm from a time not that long ago where it was about right and wrong. Right and wrong with confidence. Decades could come and go, but right and wrong never changed. Yeah. You've noticed this, projection of certain words into the public consciousness of where what is appropriate or inappropriate changes or has a direction of travel that most of us absolutely cannot, should not, will not relate to. But the young team, they're born into this, let's be honest. Now, after all, they're hit with a transgender ideology from quite literally nursery. We don't have teachers anymore. We've got activists masquerading as teachers. Behind the scenes, many of them are networked in, various organisations that have an ideology. Yeah. Humanity's old hat. We're about post-humanism, transhumanism, everything except what we were about for thousands of years, what has made us so successful. The embracement of common sense biology, what has worked, what continues to work, what enriches us, the intergenerational knowledge, the skill sets, all the rest of it are being destroyed right from early childhood. And even as I look at this, and, they emphasise he was at least 6'2", and the daughter politely declined. Oh no, the daughter recoiled, and so the mother says, I politely declined the offer, and we left immediately. She was visibly upset and said she felt freaked out. Well, I suppose if a 6'2" guy in drag that, is under the delusion that they're the opposite sex, comes up to you and somehow, in some way, thinks that they can relate to you as a young female about, bra choices and, none of this should be rocket science. Who else would be great to advise a young woman who is obviously developing enough that is in need of a bra? Well, how about a woman? Come on. Yeah, again, this has been successful since the very birth of bras. Yeah. But it's always about the ideology. What I was amazed at was that M&S didn't say, well, we're not going to put up with this transphobia, seriously. Mind you, an awful lot of them lately are having to backtrack. And let's not forget one of the reasons why, the highest court in the land had said, well, duh. It took various other people in costume and wigs to say, well, a woman refers only to biological sex. Yeah. Mind you, when this happened, it was apparently weeks, etc., before that ruling. Yeah. I wonder what M&S's attitude would have been if that ruling hadn't come out. I'm just asking, But, and as always, I could do a better job, but let's go to comments. Not really sorry, though, are they? Honestly, they and it's true, I should go into the response. The retailer replied and said they were truly sorry and deeply regret the distress your daughter felt during her visit to our store. It added they took her concerns very seriously and wish to make arrangements for a better experience in their next visit, including, how about in her? Because they go her and then they go they, or their. How about her next visit, including assistance from a female colleague, which or in other words, a member of staff, because it's all about colleagues and teams now. Yeah. Whereas up until, well, you know, a few decades ago, it was about employees and employers, management, blah, blah, blah. This illusion that you're on any kind of team or colleagues, well, that all just disappears as soon as you lose your job. You know, it's not a family. Forget that. Seriously. One of the many illusions that are, well, you know, projected on us, but female colleague. No. A female member of staff. A woman. How about that? Yeah. An M&S spokesman said, "We want our stores to be inclusive," well, you know, that witchcraft again, "and welcoming places for our colleagues," yet again, what they should be saying, staff and customers. All this cozy, our colleagues, you know, anyway. "We have written to this customer and explained that our colleagues," you know, because it's repetition, yeah, "typically work across all departments in our stores." Yeah, but I'll repeat, well, bras, yeah, women. Always been staffed by women. For good reason. Always. As when it comes to an intimate garment, you're looking for somebody's advice from the same sex. Yeah. Oh, look, most people wouldn't touch touch this these days. But, I mean, can we just go back a few decades and embrace what has made us so successful and had people, well, I mean, look, I may be milking the point here, but this was nothing any women out there for decades upon decades and longer than that had anything to be concerned about up until recently. Seriously. Based around the delusions of a very small amount of people who would rather get the rest of us to embrace their delusion, which is backed up by, well, occultists and law and all the rest of it, who behind the scenes worship, you know, the Baphomet, the androgyny, the male and the female. Yeah. Again, I could do a better job, but they're not sorry, obviously, M&S. So, what happens when you appease the minority? Another one, feel really bad for the poor girl. Well, yeah, absolutely empathise. Absolutely. Seriously. I mean, these things are an experience for a young girl and her mother, you know, the bonding, all the rest of it, a female member of staff, adding to the advice aspect. I mean, it was the standard and well cherished experience. Anyway, share if you care, thumb up, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.